Good afternoon, I'm Vashon Brown with the Midday News. A special welcome if you're watching on onespotmedia.com. We begin this afternoon with a TVJ News follow-up. One of the 4 policemen who was critically injured in a motor vehicle crash in Clarendon last month has died. 44-year-old Constable Patrick Richards died yesterday in the intensive care unit at the University Hospital of the West Indies. He was attached to the Specialized Operations Unit, formerly Mobile Reserve. His colleagues, who are also from the same unit, remain in hospital. It was reported that about 5 o'clock on the morning of December 20, the policemen were heading to Vere to provide additional support for the festive season. On reaching a section of the Docking Pen Main Road in Lioneltown, the driver reportedly lost control, crashed into a utility pole, then into a tree. All 4 occupants were rushed to hospital by another police unit traveling with them. As Jamaica continues in the influenza flu season 2019 data show that persons 60 years and older who are among the high-risk groups are being severely affected by the virus. In a statement this morning, the health ministry reiterated that flu is to be taken seriously. Last year saw 6 deaths from the virus. A third of the deaths have been persons over 60 years old. The ministry confirms that 2 strains of the flu are currently circulating in Jamaica. Influenza is a viral infection that spreads easily from person to person, mainly by coughing, sneezing, and poor hand hygiene. Acting Chief Medical Officer Dr. Karen Webster Carr says the ministry has made available the flu vaccine free of cost in the public health system to high-risk members of the population, including healthcare workers, children, the elderly, pregnant women, individuals who are institutionalized or in state care, and non-health frontline workers. The woman killed in last evening's drive-by attack on Bowens Road in the Waltham Park area in St. Andrew has been identified as 21-year-old Nefertiti Roach, otherwise called Nancy. 5 other persons, including a 1-year-old child, were shot in the attack. They remain hospitalized. Shortly before 6 o'clock, the persons were at the intersection of Bowens Road and Stevens Lane when a car drove up. The passengers sprayed bullets on the people. To St. Elizabeth now, where the police say murders increased by 4 last year when compared to 2018. 29 murders were committed in the parish last year. Head of the St. Elizabeth Police, Superintendent Samuel Morgan, provided an update yesterday during the monthly meeting of the St. Elizabeth Municipal Corporation. He says 6 more cases of break-ins were also recorded in 2019 compared to the previous year. Superintendent Morgan says there was a reduction in all other crimes in St. Elizabeth last year.
However, for the other crimes, such as shootings, we are showing a reduction of 17%. For rape, we are showing a reduction of 36%. For our aggravated assaults, we are showing a 28% reduction. And also for robberies, we are showing an 18% reduction.
Superintendent Morgan told our news team that the reduction in some major crimes for the parish was as a result of collaborative efforts from citizens and other stakeholders in the parish. He said the police will continue to improve partnerships going forward for this year.
I believe that with the efforts of our citizens, the police, and our stakeholders, we're able to improve the security environment for our citizens in St. Elizabeth. We as a team will be improving on those partnerships and our operational activities as we seek to interface with our stakeholders, as we seek to partner with the citizens.
Space for burials across the country continues to be a major problem for the local government ministry and the municipal corporations. This is because some cemeteries are full to capacity. Local government minister Desmond McKenzie says he's still not sure when new cemeteries will be built. Here's TVJ's Shamela Pullen.
Almost 70% of public cemeteries controlled by the municipal corporations across the country are either full or at the point where burials can hardly take place in them.
We are seeing on a daily basis where the challenge is now facing many municipalities is that they are running out of burial space. And the other major issues that confront them is to find suitable lands for burial. Now, as the minister with responsibility for that, I can't accede to a request from any municipal corporation to close a public cemetery.
Local government minister Desmond McKenzie says Clarendon, Hanover and Portland are in urgent need of new cemeteries. But Mr. McKenzie says the only way he could order the closure of a cemetery is if the municipal corporation proposed an alternative. In fact, he says this was done before by a municipal corporation and the permission granted.
Like in the case of St. Catherine, when they applied for the closure of the public cemetery in St. Catherine, they were able to provide to me the information that they have acquired lands and that they were in the process of establishing a new cemetery, which the ministry gave funding.
However, that process took years. Mr. McKenzie says a new cemetery oftentimes has to go through a process that requires technical assessment. He says the local government ministry is working with the various agencies like the National Environment and Planning Agency, NEPA, and Water Resources Authority to see how best they can fix this problem.
In anything that we are doing as it relates to establishing new cemeteries, the search has to commence with the involvement of the external entities who are going to have to give the requisite approval. This is one time the municipal corporation have to depend on somebody to approve something for them to use. And that is why the ministry have set up this committee working with the external agencies.
Shamela Pullen, TVJ News.
A third location for a water shop in Portland has been identified. However, local government minister Desmond McKenzie says that location will not be unveiled because he's still waiting to get the permission to use it because it is not owned by the government. Meanwhile, residents in Commodore and surrounding areas in Portland are to have access to more water early this year with the construction of the second water shop in the parish. Mr. McKenzie says the funds are now available for that project.
The funding for the first one will be released on Monday, and we are expecting that the construction will commence before the end of January, so that we're looking at a 3-month period because it's going to take some time to construct the facility. So we are expecting by April, the end of April, the first water shop will be ready, up and running in East Portland.
And it's now time for a break, but stay with us. More stories right after these messages. Welcome back. Thank you so much for staying with us. Continuing the news now. As Clarendon continues to make efforts to tackle climate change, the municipal corporation is looking into strengthening ties with France to help the parish achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. On Wednesday, the French ambassador to Jamaica, Denis Waibu, toured areas of the parish being affected by climate change. Mayor of Maypen, Winston Marage, says there are 17 Sustainable Development Goals and he's trying to satisfy these goals with a cooperation between the parish and France.
I'm sure that we can cooperate, we can set up some form of cooperation to see how you could assist us in any way possible. Whether it be some technical relations, whether it be a best practice arrangement that we could look at.
The National Leadership Prayer Breakfast launched its 40th staging on Wednesday. The theme for this year is Pursuing the Power of Peace. This year's beneficiary will be the Violence Prevention Alliance's Child Resiliency Program. The event is scheduled to take place on Thursday, January 16 at the Jamaica Pegasus Hotel. Custos of St. James Bishop Conrad Pitkin will be the guest speaker. The Peace Management Initiative, PMI, benefited from last year's staging with a donation of over $500,000 towards the Safe School Monitors program. Executive Director of the PMI, DAMIAN Hutchinson, says a number of students were getting robbed in the downtown Kingston area and intervention was needed.
After getting to know who are the problem youngsters in the schools, because we found out that a lot of those security issues were around many of these same youngsters, was to work closer with the communities, to engage the communities around how they themselves can protect these schools, to own the security of these schools. And so we had several workshops, meetings at the community level to do just that.
The annual event brings together leaders from the government, church, and civil society for prayer and to seek divine direction for the development of the country. Now, over the years, there have also been concerns about the relevance of the event. And it's now time for sports. After just 7 weeks on the job, former reggae boy DAMIAN Stewart has been released by former Premier League champions Harbourview Football Club. Stewart is being replaced by club administrator Ludlow Bernard, who makes a return to conditioning the team, becoming the 6th coach at the club in 18 months.
When DAMIAN Stewart was given the job in mid-November, the former reggae boy was over the moon as he pledged to return the club to its glory days. He began with back-to-back defeats, however, against the Waterhouse and Dunbeholden before beating Malaysia United for his first victory. But victories were hard to come by thereafter, as Harbourview could only register another 2 wins from 7 matches. But interestingly, Stewart says his dismissal has nothing to do with football.
I think my appointment wasn't welcomed by everyone at the club, so I think from the get-go, I kind of put myself in a rat hole by taking the job. I'll ask myself, I'll ask anyone, when was the last time Harbourview have done well? I've gone to a club that haven't done well over the years and been given 10 games and then out. So I don't think it's football. I think it's more something personal than football. If you want me to say, at first when I went there, Mr. Journey had said he resigned. You understand? And if you look at Harbourview's social media, from then, my appointment with my team, they were no welcome to Harbourview. There was nothing stating that, Damien and Foley and Sean back at Harbourview, they were no welcoming on no social media at all. So from the get-go, we weren't there.
Stewart further says he also had an issue with outside interference.
Strong opinion, if you get what I'm saying. But I'm not one to really take orders well from long, so it's the same me. So I guess I'm too strong-minded for Jamaica football on a whole.
But as to whether he would return to the club one day, Stewart was quick with his response.
No, I think I can't return to Harbourview. No, not after being treated like this. Can't.
Harbourview are currently 9th in the standings on 26 points, 10 above relegation and 4 off a playoff spot.
And that's the Midday News. I'm Vashon Brown. Join us at 7 for Primetime News Package. On behalf of the News, Sports and Production teams, have a good afternoon and a wonderful weekend.